And with that, we're holding for just a moment. I want everyone to look at their screen. This is a big day for one of us. Russell, we knew no other way to do this but let you know how the board feels about you today. And we want to wish you a very, very happy birthday and many, many more. And with that, we have just a little remembrance of kindness to show you that you may have in a birthday card.
Okay. Take the rest of the day off.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
And with that, we will start with our committee meetings, and I believe Board Member Tim Golden.
All right, thank you very much, and happy birthday, Russell. Let me call the statewide transportation planning, strategic planning committee to order. And our business today is Megan Weiss, who's going to give us an update on our I-85 planning environmental linkage. If you will, Megan, it's all yours.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. My name is Megan Weiss. I'm the Assistant Office Head. Is this not on? Okay. I'm the Assistant Office Head for Capital and Metro Planning in the Planning Office. I've also been overseeing the 85 Pell study. I'm happy to announce that we're at the end of it. The last time I was here was about a year and a half ago to present an update, but I know there's quite a few new members that may not have heard about this study, so I'll be going through that today just to kind of get that update. So I'll go through some of that background, talk about the study recommendations that we've had, and then, of course, our wrap-up. So I'm excited, again, like we're here today, we're at the end. During the study, we've had Gwinnett County here as our 50-50 partner. We have some of those folks in the room today. I'll talk about what Pell is. This is our first Pell effort in the state of Georgia. And then just to kind of note why we're looking at 85, if you look at the picture on the screen, you'll see how crowded 85 is. We've got 5 through lanes. We have the express lane that's not barrier separated. It's also our first express lane in the state of Georgia. It was previously an HOV lane and then converted to HOV 3+, which means anybody that's 2 passengers or less, they pay a toll. If you are 3 passengers or more carpool, you can ride through that for free. Just to understand what Pell is, it is the Planning Environmental Linkage. It's a process to Federal Highway Administration that has been around for years. We just never really looked at it until we started this study. The purpose behind it is to save time, money, and effort. We're essentially accelerating some of the planning process into the NEPA process. So before, where we just looked at things holistically from the planning level and then moved it on to concept, we haven't quite gotten into concept, but we've done a lot more public outreach than we would normally do in the beginning, stakeholder involvement. We work closely with our Environmental Services Office. We work closely with Federal Highway. So the idea behind this is just to do better stewardship of our funds, better use of our time, and providing projects that the public does want, that we all want here in the state of Georgia, and to have that consensus. Just to note, the study area is 18 miles of length. It's predominantly in Gwinnett County. It goes from 285 and I-85 all the way up to 985 and 85 split. It has 3 community improvement districts that are on the corridor, 5 cities, and 16 interchanges. Currently, we have over 300,000 vehicles that travel this daily. And then with those express lanes I mentioned, we have 12.4 million trips per year that take those express lanes just in that section of 85. Currently, about 11 to 16% of the traffic is truck traffic, and a third of those trucks go through this entire corridor without stopping. So they're going somewhere else, whether it's south of Atlanta, in Atlanta, or just moving somewhere north of us. What we are looking at here is trying to resolve the issues that come with congestion, as you saw in that first picture, safety, and understanding that cross-community connection and that reliability and travel time. So we're basically taking this and trying to create a better, more efficient corridor. On the screen, you can see our study vision and our study goals. This was a collaborative effort across our stakeholders, our public outreach, and of course, our community partners and GDOT. So what we're trying to do is create a safe, reliable interstate travel for people and goods as part of a connected, efficient transportation network while creating value for the surrounding communities. Each of these study goals was important to all of our stakeholders, all of our public partners, and so we work to address each of these in some form or fashion with our recommendations. Obviously, improved safety and vehicular mobility are at the top. As always, we want to make sure we're facilitating commercial travel. As I noted, 11 to 16% are trucks. We want to make sure they're moving through efficiently. We look at multimodal options. This does include transit, bike ped access as well. We want to support the economy and, of course, the corridors communities that are on either side of the corridor and creating that connectivity. Some of those statistics for today, when we're looking at the 85 corridor, we have 967,000 people living in Gwinnett County. We will see in 2050, 1.21 million people. That is over a 25% increase in population alone, just in Gwinnett. The number of people, 387,000, we're going to have a 21% increase of the people that are working there. Then, of course, our traffic is expected to grow from over 300,000 vehicles a day to over 400,000 vehicles a day. So we're just trying to make sure we address this. Gwinnett is the second largest county in the state, and we have, of course, all that freight travel that is going through on 985, 85. Hopefully they're not going all the way down the connector and they're going around 285 and up the corridor to the north. This next section, I'll talk through some of our outreach. I want to acknowledge all of our stakeholders. We have quite a lot. We have this NASCAR slide. You'll see a couple more CIDs. You'll see more than just the Gwinnett County that I mentioned earlier. We did reach out to further than just the corridor. We talked to all the people that are near the corridor as well. And we had pretty good involvement from everybody. We met with some of these folks in smaller group settings, and we met with them in larger group settings to make sure we understand their wants and their needs for what they're envisioning the corridor to be. So this is just our picture over the last several years. On the screen, this is the timeline of all of our public and stakeholder outreach. So you can see that we've been very heavily involved in trying to make sure that we're capturing what the public wants, what the public thinks about. So in the very beginning, when we started to study, we went out, we developed that vision, we developed those goals. Then we went out and said, hey, public, hey, stakeholders, what do we need to focus on in this study? Where are our problem areas? What ideas do you have? You'll see this in our funnel slide and a couple of slides. We then went back throughout the study two more times to say, here's our progress. Here's what we're thinking about. Is there anything that gives you heartburn? Is there anything that you guys really like? Because we also, as part of the PAL process, don't want to advance a project the public is going to be against. We want to find this out now as opposed to 10 years from now or 5 years from now. So we've been doing that. We did all sorts of engagement via surveys, through material that we mailed out, material that was posted. We even did a billboard on 85. So we were trying our best to make sure we were hitting a lot of our target audience. So some of this is talks about the engagement we had for our outreach events. So we've had over 3 stakeholder meetings at the critical points. The small group meetings that I talked about are that 7 people and 104 people from that NASCAR slide showed up during that time. Public meetings and community events. We held our own, you could say, public information open house where people came to us specifically to talk about this study, but we also went to community events throughout the corridor. So we were going to festivals, we were going to the hockey game and just setting up a table and saying, come talk to us. We actually had really good success there, getting that engagement, getting those ideas and participation. Everything we have was always interactive. You can mark up a map, you could talk to us, you could look at our boards. So overall, we had about 1,600 plus engagements and over 2,800 respondents on our survey, which is pretty good for 18 miles of corridor that we're looking at. Some of our takeaways throughout our outreach were all positive. Phase 1, which I mentioned earlier, we talked about our goals and what we're looking at. So obviously, vehicular travel and safety are the top 2, followed by multiple modes of transportation along the corridor. They wanted to know about alternative routes, cross-street widenings, and of course, our toll lanes. The phase 2, we talked more about what locations that we're looking at, what are their preferred focus. So we had, of course, 985 and 85 interchange, southbound lanes between 316 and 285, and the interchange itself at 85 and 316. Alternatives that were discussed were collector distributor lanes, signals improvements, and rail transit. So we took those all into account, even if it wasn't necessarily something we could focus on. Outreach phase 3, this is where we went through our final recommendations, just to make sure again that we're doing what the public wants, what our stakeholders want, and everything is in alignment with what we presented. So we had 285 interchange improvements, Pleasant Hill improvements, Lawrenceville Suwannee Road, Jimmy Carter Boulevard, which Gwinnett County's actually started work on, McGinnis Ferry, and of course we had open-ended sections, so you weren't necessarily filling in a bubble, and people talked about express lane, multimodalism in transit, and road widenings. Please keep in mind that we cannot widen 85 without tolling it. So if we talk about road widenings in any form or fashion, when it comes to the corridor, it has to be on those arterials, those cross streets, and not 85 itself, unless we're referring to the express lanes. Here's what I called the funnel earlier. This is our screening process. So that first round of engagement with the public started at the very top. We got over 1,000 ideas. And as we worked our way through, we asked different questions. We worked to eliminate fatal flaws or grouping similar thoughts and ideas together. We might have had someone mention Jimmy Carter, for example, 50 different times. And so we grouped that together into one group. Then we go, does this alternative address a transportation need? We've had a couple of projects that were just simply about maybe improving the community or other items. So we had to kind of filter those out, but we did pass comments along. First, then as we keep moving down and eliminating projects or modifying projects, we have to make sure that these projects work well on their own. If it doesn't work well on their own, it's not going to help improve the corridor. We move them out. Our last piece was making sure how well do these pieces work together. We want to make sure that whatever projects that we're recommending, even if they work well on their own, doesn't negatively affect the next project upstream or downstream. So we started putting those pieces together, and I'll go through how that looks. And then we go through the recommendations to have the public look at. Here's the part where we talk about how well everything works together. So we have the packages of projects to consider. Keep in mind, the packages themselves are not our final. We've never intended these to be our final, but we need to know how they work together. So package 1 is what I call the pie in the sky. If we had all the money in the world, can we do everything? The key difference between package 1 and package 2 is the number of express lanes. Package 1 does look at 3 express lanes in each direction. Package 2 looks at 2 express lanes in each direction. So package 2 is mostly about those express lanes and making sure we have those transit connections. So it's about those new crossings across 85, the bike pad improvements that were asked for, and of course, transit connections to the hubs that you'll see in these slides. Package 3 is just focused on those operational improvements. So there's no express lanes looked at in here. There's no big changes happening. But we did look at those arterial interchanges. They're congressionally directed, CD lanes improvements, and then the new arterials crossing 85. So the interchanges for the ramps coming on and off 85, and then the new crossings going across 85 to help direct away traffic from the interchanges. And then, of course, the fourth one is those major system-to-system interchanges. So again, nothing touching the express lanes, but just focusing on the 985, 316, and 285 interchanges. Earlier, I referenced that as being top concerns of some of the public. So that was what the purpose behind that particular package was. So these packages let us see how they work together. Just to make sure you understand how they all fit in, we do have package 1 essentially in terms of, hey, this is an equal opportunity type of package. So we focus on vehicular and freight movement, focusing on those express lanes, focusing on providing multimodalism, and of course, improving the overall general purpose lane. So package 1, you can look at it from the, hey, it fits everything perfectly if you want to try and address all 4 of those pieces together. Package 2 fits in there, main difference being the express lanes, and then of course, a couple of projects were taken out from package 1. But there's a heavier focus on express lanes and multimodalism, and a little less focus on that general purpose and vehicular and freight. Package 3 is the opposite of package 2, more focused on general purpose and vehicular and freight. There's no express lanes improvements here, so you won't see that. shifting towards the right. Package 4 just focuses on vehicular freight movement and general purpose because it's going to relieve those congestions at those choke points at each of those major system interchange. Not every project is in each other, but you can see how it nestles into that pie in the sky type of idea. So we were looking for the best one that fits in all of that. So essentially what we came up with was a combination or thereof of packages 1 and 2. So we came up with the final recommendation of packages. There's just 2 express lanes in each direction. This would go from 285 all the way up to 985. We did talk to the P3 division to make sure that we're in alignment with what they're planning on 285, and just to make sure that there's discussion being had so we can continue to assist in the system movement. Of course, we would maintain the assistant express lane restriction that I mentioned earlier, the HOP 3+, so the carpools would still be able to move through. We'll have new system improvements, new arterials crossing 85, bike ped improvements, and of course, those transit connection to the hubs. The final recommendation of package projects is estimated planning level to be 6.4 to 8.4 billion. That could go up and that could go down depending on concepts getting refined. All of these recommendations are planning level concepts. Taking that final recommendation, we're going to look at 23% fewer incidents for safety. We're going to look at 16% faster travel time, and that is across all lanes. 35% reduction in truck delay, better improvement there. This is essentially where all of our recommendations lay on the map, as you can see. So all of our projects focus on whether they're express lane, freeway and interchange improvements, arterial improvements, and multimodal improvements. So the primary focus is what the color is on your letter, but some of these have, of course, those underlying other benefits, just as I showed in that circle chart. So you'll see multiple benefits. You can see in the asterisks, the pink asterisks, those are the transit hubs, as well as both proposed and existing. They came from the Gwinnett County Transit Plan, so we did coordinate with them on that. So you'll see some of those new connections. I mentioned Jimmy Carter earlier. Gwinnett County is underway already with an interchange justification report, so they're already working on that. Hillcrest Road, for example, as well. They're working on a trail right there, and so they're coordinating on making sure that they access for multimodalism and then making that connection across the bridge, the new bridge that is being recommended there. So we have a couple different ones, and again, there's 16 projects in total. That does include the express lanes. And if you have any questions about any of them, I can talk to you some of those. The express lanes recommendation, again, this is going to be 2 lanes bidirectional. We do not have a concept yet. We don't know if it's going to be elevated, at grade, to the left, to the right. All of that will come as we go through and have it more study at it. We'll know more about barrier separated or buffer separated. We'll know more about access, all of that, and continue to study this. But this is what we've decided to move forward with. General purpose lanes, they will not be reduced, they will not be increased. It's just the number of lanes on the express lanes will increase. I just wanted to focus a little bit on the multimodal aspect. We worked really closely with Gwinnett County on this. Again, we have the transit hubs, some proposed, some already existing. Some of these new connections provide access to those transit hubs. Some of those provide safe access across the communities for bike ped movement, for car movement. This was something we heard loud and clear from the local, from the traveling public, from the communities that surround the corridor. They wanted to be able to connect their communities better. So we have that zoomed in aspect there. For just to focus on those 5 projects, it's between $385 and $540 million. Again, planning level estimate as a concept is being refined. For our next steps, as I stated, we're at the end, so we're just wrapping up our final report. We're hoping to have that up on the website in the next couple of months. We do have to do some final steps of our Pell process and getting consensus. All of our projects that we're recommending here is based on further study design. Because again, this is planning level. We don't have the final drawings, layout. So as funding is available, whether it's local funding, state, federal, coming from transit, coming from the toll, then projects can get programmed. Like I said, Gwinnett's already started. They saw some projects that they said, hey, let's get going on them. And they've been working on projects for the last year or two, spitting out of this study, which is what we wanted. That's a positive thing. We have more information on our website. I want to thank our partners at Gwinnett County. We have some of them here today, including our Director of Transportation for Gwinnett County Transit. With that, if you have any questions, please let me know.
Several questions, Megan, so, not surprised. That's a lot to digest. I guess I'll start with, Dennis first.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Megan, you may have explained this, but I missed it if you did. The existing express lane, when you're proposing the 2 additional, what will happen to that express lane in this concept?
It depends on how the express lanes would be built. The express lanes are not being converted into GP lanes at the ground level. They may wind up being widened in a specific spot. It may wind up that they build supports for a raised express lane, similar to what you see on 75. But that part is to be determined as it goes on. But the express lanes themselves, as it sits today, will change. We just don't know what that looks like yet.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Is double decking an option for any of this?
No, that is something I believe we might have looked on earlier, but it's not feasible for this particular corridor. But the express lanes themselves, if we're doing anything, could be something, but double decking would not work along this corridor.
Is there enough right-of-way available to add express lanes?
In some areas, yes. In some areas, no. That's why I was stating some might have to go up, and they could be built along those current right-of-way that we have, the current footprint that we have of the current express lanes. But I know the southern end of 85 is more built up than the northern end of 85, and it's 18-mile stretch. But that's where concept development will kind of come into play. But we have looked into that. We're looking to keep it minimally impacting all those businesses along the corridor. Hopefully nothing will happen, but double decking won't work here.
Well, in the worst part, and I'm not telling you something you don't know, I travel it not daily, but somewhat frequently, but between mile marker 105 and 285 is where everything backs up. It's when 316 comes in and travels south to 285 when I'm on it. So I didn't know what was I'm sure that corridor's being looked at, because this morning I think they took me off 85 and sent me on roads around Old Pleasant Hill Mall over that way to get around it. But that is obviously is not telling you something you don't know, a real problem. And is there any way to get express, are we thinking about adding new express lanes? Or when you say 2 express lanes, does that include the existing one and another one, or more than that?
So that would include the existing. So we have one in each direction today, so
Yes.
we'd be adding one more in each direction.
So there would be 2 in each direction,
Yes.
instead of 1 in each direction. Well, anything you do would be gratefully appreciated, because if there's a problem, it's usually, and I'm sure there's other areas, but once you get past where 316 comes into 285 going north, there really isn't, I haven't encountered much of a problem. But from that point, when you're heading south, it is a real problem.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to affirm a few things Megan said, and thanks, Megan, for the presentation, and her and the team for all the hard work. You saw the public engagement, the rounds and rounds of sieves of analysis to get to a very robust outcome. The planning environmental linkage, again, is just to reaffirm, that is something Federal Highway allows to help us advance the planning process a little into the engineering process of the questions that you're asking. And I was going to help Megan with a lifeline there that, again, this is theoretical modeling of if you do this and this is the outcome you get. The precise engineering is yet to be done. That's sort of the next phase. But certainly want to thank Federal Highway for allowing us that this helps us to advance the ball further down the field when it's time to move into actual design and moving projects forward, which are yet to be determined. That's still we don't have the next step yet as we finish this up. But again, a huge shout out to Gwinnett County. I want to thank them for being here. This is truly the largest planning project that I can recall in our history of the size and scope of this massive corridor to look at all things on the corridor. And I'm going to go back to Mr. Boswell to affirm your acknowledgement that it's very congested. Is you heard the traffic volumes of 300,000. I don't think you said the freight percentage, but it's a high percentage of freight, just like we see in most of your districts. It's a very high percent freight moving, but it's also Main Street for Gwinnett County. So this study is really trying to, again, as Megan talked about, the different things that the different objectives to be achieved. We're trying to get the balance of the best of all those worlds of moving freight and moving people in multimodal ways. So just a really good outcome. And as you saw, that none of it's very cheap. So as I like to say around here, we may have to have a bake sale, a raffle, and a chicken barbecue. So as we think about the funding for this going forward, but I just want to point out those a couple of facts. One, largest planning effort that I'm aware of. Strong partnership with Gwinnett County. This is Gwinnett County's idea to take the lead and to partner to move this forward. And then a thank you to Federal Highway for letting us go a little further through this process so that we don't have to back up and sort of start over once we start in the design. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, I think,
Russell, in general,
I'll get to you.
what does it
That was
do
Rudy
cost
Dennis.
when you raise lanes?
So the question is, what does it cost when you elevate lanes with obviously bridge structures, or it's sort of like a house. We cost it by the square foot versus pavement. We cost by the mile. So it goes pretty exponential. So you try to find grade or wall. Some walls are cheaper than bridges. Depends on but again, a very confined right of way. Often elevation is about your only choice. So we try to mitigate or lessen the impact to right of way, and the way you have to do that is usually go aerial.
Do you recall the project cost for the elevated lanes along 75 in the Scott County?
It's roughly $750 million for that 16 miles. That was in yesterday's dollars, which is about double since then. So, yeah. Thank you.
Yep. I think Joe has a question.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, and Megan, thanks for a very informative briefing. As part of this, do you have any look at whether the entire project or parts of it would be suitable for public-private partnership, much like the 400 express lanes taken off on the Commissioner's last point about the expense and how much volume and how much this means to not only Gwinnett, but the entire metro area?
That would be something that GDOT and Greta would have to work together on in terms of the public-private partnership aspect, but I don't think that's off the table. It's just a matter of where we are, next steps, and then feasibility, because this is also a unique express lane and the fact that it's currently existing and it was an HOV lane previously. So they'll have to work through all of that.
Any other comments from anybody from the committee? If not, Megan, let me echo what others have said. Thank you for your hard work and your team, and thank Gwinnett County for being a great partner with us. And again, congratulations on all the hard work. Look forward to following it.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, Madam Chair, this committee stands adjourned.
I'd like to call to order the administrative committee. I'd like to ask Nicole Lynn to come forward, please, with her report. Good morning, or good afternoon.
Good afternoon. leave that there for now. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, Commissioner, I'm Nicole Glenn, the department's recruitment manager, and I'm here to talk to you today about the department's internship program. So interns are important to the Department of Transportation. We hire interns year-round. You can find our interns in a variety of really exciting areas across the state, from the steps of the state capitol to the decks of freshly poured bridges, and many places in between. Often I'm asked, what's the value of hiring an intern? And you don't have to look much further than this room to see the value of hiring an intern. Our own commissioner started as an intern. In fact, a lot of people in this room started out as interns. You don't have, oftentimes I'm asked, how do we recruit for interns? In June, the commissioner reported to you that we had hired a record-breaking 106 interns for this summer's internship program. Sorry about that. And I'd love to tell you about that process. But first, let me introduce you. Sorry. So you may be wondering how we recruit for the intern program, and I'd love to tell you about that process. But first, let me introduce you to the recruitment team. So we have Carrie Rowe, Valeniga Magda, and Whitney Burkett. Every fall and spring semester, we also have the pleasure of working with subject matter experts from across the department. During this presentation, I'm going to talk to you about the recruitment process. I'll introduce you to the 2025 intern program interns, and then I'm going to show you the impact the department, the interns have on the department's headcount. So the recruitment process starts much earlier than you might think. Pipeline recruitment is important to the department. The goal of pipeline recruitment is to have students know that they want to be civil engineers or construction managers, and that they want to work for the Department of Transportation by the time that they get to college. And the way that we do that is work with the Department of Education and school systems across the state to inspire the state's youngest minds. We work with teachers to teach these students about the exciting careers in transportation. We do that by attending a variety of events, from touch truck events. We go to career fairs, job fairs. We help review curriculum. We teach classes. Just this year, back in December, I told you about a partnership with the Fernbank Science Museum and DeKalb County Schools. And let me show you this bridge that we built. This is one of those bridges that we built. So just in May, we finished that partnership. And so we partnered with subject matter experts from across the department, through which Christina Quiniche and Josh Coffer, and we've partnered with those two entities, Fernbank and DeKalb County Schools, to teach over 150 ninth grade students about engineering principles, how to build bridges, how to inspect them. And throughout the year, we talked to students, how do you get from ninth grade to becoming a professional here at the DOT? And it was a really great opportunity. And so we're really looking forward to working with these students in just a few short years as an intern. And so I thought this was a really cool bridge they gave to us as, you know, a memory of working with them. So moving on to college recruiting, we meet the interns where they are, on college campuses. During the spring and fall semester, we travel to a variety of college campuses across the Southeast to find the best and brightest to join our team. Again, we partner with subject matter experts across the department. We partner the subject matter experts with the colleges that they graduated with for two reasons. One, to show the students at the colleges a pathway from becoming a student to becoming a professional here at the DOT, but then also to keep our ties strong with the colleges. It's a fun opportunity to interact with students, talk about the experiences that the subject matter experts might have had at the schools. So those, SMEs that go out, talk about their experiences while they were at school with, certain professors, their capstones, their internships here, how they might have, had different, interning things, where they were working on a bridge, an intersection, how things might have changed on campus. The recruiters talk about the application processes and benefits. In addition to this traditional way of recruiting, we also use innovative strategies to engage with students. So, I have a question for you. What do our roads have in common with Rice Krispie Treats? Well, to find out, you'll have to catch us on a college campus near you during one of our famous materials guest lectures. We do a series of guest lectures across college campuses during our campus takeover series, and this is one of our innovative recruitment strategies to engage with students, to capture their attention, to bring awareness to the neat and exciting transportation careers here at GDOT for active and passive recruiting opportunities. And so we'll go into college classes and we'll work with the faculty to use their curriculum to bridge the gap between the classroom learning and real-world application. During these campus takeovers, we'll also meet with the students during the engineering chapter events. We will do information sessions. We work with the subject matter experts, sometimes even the commissioners you can see on the screen, to work with these students, and it's a really great time. The event on the UGA campus is affectionately called the GDOT Day at Driftmeyer. This is becoming a really neat tradition, and that is in October. In addition to the campus takeovers, we do other really fun events to meet students. This past spring, we attended the ASCE Student Conference that was being hosted in Athens, and GDOT sponsored the Steel Bridge event, and our subject matter experts volunteered to judge those bridges. And it was a full circle event for a lot of those subject matter experts that went out there to judge that, because most of them had actually participated in that event as students. So they had gone out there and they talked to those students about their experiences as students and then how they became professionals along the way. So we worked with a really fantastic team. During that event, we had a neat, unexpected recruitment opportunity pop up. There was an issue with the signage, and we had contacted one of the area offices and said, hey, by any chance, can you bring us out a sign? And they said, yeah, we can take care of you. And they brought out one of the the light-up signs, and they said, GDOT, Steel Bridge event. And we ended up being able to put boxes of our bright yellow sunglasses down, and there was a wave of students that had walked by and picked up the sunglasses, and they came by, and we ended up picking up, because of all that attention, a few interns from that, because it drew so much attention. They came by, they talked to us, and it was just really neat. So recruiting is a team effort here at the department, and so it was a really exciting event. And so as you can see, we do a lot of really great events. We partner, we advertise far and wide. We partner with communications, and they run gorgeous campaigns. I'm sure you've seen them. But do you know what the most impactful strategy we have for the internship program is? It's the actual internship program. Our internships love it here. Interns get to experience GDOT, and they absolutely love it. Just like you and I and our full-time employees, at the end of the day, interns get to end their day and point to something in the community and say, I did that. And they realize that the world is a better place, safer place because of them. And they absolutely love that. And they get to say, because of me, it's safer. and they want more of it. And so when the internship ended just a few weeks ago, many of them did not want to leave, and that was not a unique experience. Every year, we hear that. They want to stay. They say, can I have a few weeks more? Can I come back? And as on the next slide you're going to see, our internship is growing, and it's becoming a program of choice across college campuses, and it's because of the work our teams are doing. And on the slide here, you could see just an example of the experiences that our teams are giving these interns. Our program has grown over the years. This year, we saw about a 38% increase. We received a record-breaking 900 applications. As I just mentioned, the internship program is becoming a program of choice over the college campuses. We had a really young intern class this year. As you can see, most of our interns were freshmen and sophomore. So over the next few years, we're going to be working with the interns to retain them, to make sure that they keep coming back to us, to guide their path to full-time employment. And so that's going to look like us working with them on college campuses, to keep reaching out to them during the school year. Recruitment team will be working with them, but then also the hiring managers that worked with them while they were here. So we guide their way to the path to full-time employment. So this year, most of the interns were interns here at GDOT for the first time, but 46 of them had been experiencing an internship for the first time. So here you can see the breakdown for engineering versus non-engineering students. They were spread out across the state throughout all 7 districts in 14 different offices. Every year, the internship program starts off in January. We bring on 2 interns for the legislative season. On the screen here, you'll see the interning majors. We had about 24 intern majors represented in the program this year. The most popular major was civil engineering and construction management. We surveyed the students at the midpoint and asked them how confident they were in their majors. 102 of the 106 interns commented that they were very confident in their major this year. Most of the interns come from a school that we recruit from. This chart represents the top schools that we recruit from, which are also the schools here in Georgia with the civil engineering and construction management programs. GDOT is home to the Eagles, Owls, and Bulldogs. Those schools frequently report that we hire the top amount of engineers and construction managers from those schools. We reported that representation from 26 schools from 8 states, with 18 in-state schools, 3 tech schools, 6 HBCUs in this program this year. Alabama A&M was the most popular school again this year from out of state, and it tied Savannah State for the most popular HBCU. A remarkable fact about the tech school was that back in December when I spoke with you guys about the expansion of the CET program, that stat was the result of us expanding that program. Those 3 candidates ended up being hired as full-time employees. So that was pretty exciting for us. So I think we're doing a fantastic job, but you don't have to just take my word for it. We survey the students each semester to make sure they're receiving a quality experience, and we check with them pretty often. As you can see here on the screen, there is a common theme about their experiences here. They really enjoy the hands-on learning opportunities and the mentorship that they're getting. So way to go, Officer Roadway Design, Officer Bridge Design, D1, 3, and 5. So you might be wondering what the overall impact of the headcount is on the program. This year, we hired a total of 53 entry-level civil engineers or construction managers. 16 of those were previous interns within the last year. In the intern program this summer alone, 14 of them were eligible to receive a contingent offer. 3 of those were eligible to begin work, and they have. The other 11 just received the traditional contingent offers, and they'll begin work when they graduate by May. And so this chart here represents the full-time hires from Georgia schools and the investment, the return on investment on recruiting for interns. So we hired 53 entry-level CE2s or construction managers, and about 36 of them had come from one of these schools. 41 of them, though, came from a school that we had recruited from. So whether they came from Auburn or FAMU, if a recruiter had gone out to recruit for an intern, more than likely they were coming back with a candidate for the program. So if you know a student who has an interest in making the world around them a better place, or saving some lives on a summer break, who has an interest in maybe becoming a commissioner, district engineer, or division director, who wants to design a bridge, intersection, or roundabout, send them our way. The application for the 2026 GDOT internship program opens up soon. What questions do you have for me?
Any questions? Yes, Joe?
And thank you very much, Nicole. I'm convinced internships make a big difference in so many corporations across the country, and especially this field here, too. I'm wondering whether you have or whether you might look at having a more fixed relationship between maybe high schools, colleges, and GDOT itself. For instance, do you have places, say, like Georgia Tech, where maybe Georgia Tech gives 10 slots a year from its admissions class to people who will take an internship with the with GDOT, and then they do the GDOT internship, and then they get course credit for doing things like that. Also, in high schools, I know my granddaughter's sitting at Lambert in Forsyth County, and they have tracks. And I wonder how many tracks are set up in high schools. I know you reach out to the high schools, but do we set up, for instance, a construction management or civil engineering track, much like you do for pre-med or things like that around that, again, to help funnel kids and actually enable the progression to the next step?
So it's a really great question. As far as the colleges go, we don't have a preset number of interns per college. As far as the high schools go, also no, but I do know that the CTAE pathways, they are looking into that, and that's a really exciting development that just over the last few years, they are looking into finding a way to getting high schoolers into the door, and that was actually a really recent conversation that we've had. Yeah, thank you for that question.
Anyone else? Thank you very much, Ms. Glenn.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, ma'am. Now, I would like to ask Kyle Moat, our State Development Manager, to come forward and give us an update on our Management Development Program. You, Mr. Moat?
Hello, Brian has the mic. Make sure that the mic is okay. Good afternoon, y'all. I am Kyle Moat. I am the State Talent Development Manager. It was great to follow Nicole's presentation on the internship, really understanding how important it is to get interns into the door and then help them become full-time hires. On your screen, you will see our most recent cohort that graduated from our management development program. In this picture, there is someone that Nicole's group helped recruit to be an intern, to come on to be a full-time hire, and has now graduated this program, and is not the first one that we've had. So, that just really speaks volumes to what the internship does and how much it's helping retain, great employees in here. I'll also say that Megan and Nicole are both, recent grads of our management development program, same class, I believe. Yep. And, I was counting, but I got tired after I got through the first 2 rows. In the first 2 rows alone, there are 10 people who have graduated from this program. So it's a time-honored tradition, of the departments, and I'm happy to be up here and share this with you today, to the committee and to you, Mr. Committee Chair. So thank you very much. A little bit of an agenda of what we're going to go over today. First, we'll do a brief overview of our overall leadership pyramid and what that's like for the department. Then we'll talk really about our management development program, which we lovingly call MDP. And then we're going to talk about how this program is being used to make the department better. And then I have 2 special guests that are going to come up here and present with me of a recent class to talk about their projects that them and their groups have been working on. So after I am finished, Anna will come up and she'll introduce herself. And then when Anna's done, Terry will come up, she'll introduce herself, and then I'll come back and I'll be happy to answer any questions. So talk about the strategic leadership pyramid we have. On the lowest level are kind of like the essential skills program that we have. Every month we offer a training that is virtual, that is instructor-led for new supervisors to sign up for, to attend, and they vary on topics. I think one of our most recent one was managing with tact, things like that. And I believe that class alone had over 100 or right at 100 attendees. We also have a program called Leadership Empowerment Training, which we do once a quarter, that is taught by a DOT retiree, a former DE, and a special commissioner's assistant, Jimmy Smith, who's actually here today. And that is taught in Macon once a quarter, and people sign up for that and able to attend that. And then after that level, the next level is our MDP, which we'll get into in a minute. And then 3 or 4 years after that, after you graduate MDP, you go to advanced MDP. And what that is introducing you to things that we have brought into the management development program since you last graduated, and then more advanced techniques as far as simulation trainings and things like that go. And then we're always supported at the top by our AASHTO partners. AASHTO has 3 levels of leadership programming that we always participate in, and we get very good feedback in. One of those is also a 2-week program. Speaking of 2-week programs, our MDP is a 2-week in-person program. So they come up on Sunday night, usually led at a dinner and a discussion with either the commissioner or deputy commissioner, and talk about the expectations of the program and what we're going to do. And they're there Sunday through Friday. And then we take a couple weeks off, and then they come back Sunday through Friday again. So the cohort is usually 24 people that we have. And we have instructors that have taught at the highest level of AASHTO and also at the department. So it's been a time-honored tradition, like I said earlier, from the start of the program, 2 weeks in person. And so what do we want to do with these 2 weeks, right? Like, what are our goals for this? Our goals are leadership development. We want to develop leaders here at the department. That is our main goal. We want to give them techniques and principles that they can take back that are tangible and use in their everyday life. One of the other benefits and goals that we have are project presentations. So each person who comes to MDP will be put into a group. That group gets to come up with their group name, which you'll hear today, some of the team names, and that group then also has to identify a project. And that project is something to identify to make the department better, to make us stronger, to make us faster. You know, I love that. It's one of the things that Russell says all the time. Are we making it better? How can we make it better? And you get a group of 6 or 7 of our employees, and you ask them, what can we do better? What can the department do better? And every time I am just wowed at the ideas that they come up with. So we'll get into some of that later. And another goal is collaboration and innovation. So we take a diverse group from all over the department, all over the state, different titles, different districts, and put them together and get them to work on this project. And then at the end, they present the project to executive leadership. After that, their job with the project is implementation. And then they are assigned a shark, as we call them, based on Russell's idea for the Shark Tank. Well, I guess he didn't have the idea for the Shark Tank, but But we do use the Shark Tank idea where each group, there's usually 4 groups, is assigned a member of executive leadership, and we meet quarterly to discuss anything, any roadblocks they're having or any help they may need in getting this project implemented. So it's a great way to keep executive management involved. It's a great opportunity for our employees to meet quarterly with executive management, and then the department is benefiting just by the sheer greatness of these projects that they are coming up with. So what do we teach at the MDP? We have a lot of things that we teach, and these are just some highlights. We do a listening assessment. We talk about how important it is not only to be a mentor, but to be a mentee. You know, to always seek to try to do better, to learn from someone who could do something better than you can, or someone who you like the way they do something and you want to learn that. We do an assessment of your management style. Where are you right now, and how can we get you to where you want to go with your leadership assessment? Presentation skills, as I've talked about, leadership habits, how to motivate your employees. All of these things are all wrapped in these 2 weeks, and we do it with different ways of learning. We do it with hands-on kinesthetic learning. We do it audio, where, you know, we do some lecture, and then we also get them to teach us. So it's a lot of different variations of ways to learn and ways to collaborate and innovate, not only with your cohort, but with us as the instructors as well. And these are some pictures of some of our latest classes, whether we're doing class or doing activities. So it's 2 weeks. It's a lot of fun. We get a lot of benefit from these classes. So while I'm here, I also want to celebrate some of our successes. And some of you may remember some of my past presentations. We have some of the people come up, like Anna and Terry are going to do, and talk about their recent projects. So these are just a list of projects that are trying to make it better. And the first one on the list is our homepage, Experience U. Experience U came from an MDP project, I think 2016, 2017 era, and we finally got it all together, and it is our homepage. And that homepage has a place where people can ask questions to a forum. They can find all of our acronyms, which y'all know are a lot of acronyms. So it's got really great information there. Fuel receipts. You used to have to keep a hard copy of your fuel receipt, no longer. E-ticket, you had to pull an asphalt ticket, apparently, so I've been told. Now you no longer have to. I've never pulled an asphalt ticket, but now it's all an e-ticket. A better way to determine how much salt is in our salt barns so that we can coordinate and collaborate on how to get the crews to where the most salt is and where that salt is in relation to the road that needs salted. Different kinds of plan sets, with digital plan sets, smaller plan sets. A couple of times ago, or maybe last time, we had Matt Ernest come up with his group and talk about battery-operated hand tools. So we weren't talking about the big chainsaws and things like that. We're talking about pole saws and things we don't use as regular. And I'm happy to update that I just got an email yesterday that we are in the process of procuring some of those hand tools that are battery-operated. And we've selected crews throughout the state that will be our first wave of testing out these battery-operated hand tools. We've got a survey that we're going to follow up with them to see how they like it compared to the gas-powered. So just trying to make it better. Sign vandalism prevention. This is one, Andrew Pearson, he's been up here a couple of times with me and talked about, his group sat there, and it was, for me, it was just an awesome idea. They said, what are we doing to prevent vandalism on our overhead signs? Well, I don't know. I mean, what are we doing? And then that turned into a whole project. And I was happy to say that when I texted Paul Denard last month, I said, have you implemented some of the ideas that Andrew's group has given you? And he said, yes. And where we have implemented, the signs have not been touched. I mean, that's an awesome difference we're making. It's just so exciting. And then one of the ones we had the first time was some electronic signatures on right-of-way instead of wet signatures being required. Being able to upload those automatically to our ProjectWise database and being able to collect those quicker and faster than we ever had before. So with that, I'm going to go sit down. Anna's going to come up, then Terry's going to come up, then I'll come back up and finish the presentation. So, Anna?
Thank you, Kyle. Good afternoon, board members, commissioner. My name is Anna Plegachova. I'm the state signal engineer with the Office of Traffic Operations. I'm really excited to be here today to present on behalf of our Six Sigma MDP project and talk to you all about how can we improve the connections of our overhead signs at span wire locations. Look at the image. I'm sure you all have seen something similar while you're driving. There's 3 reasons this is actually happening. One is at locations where there's high winds, like in North Georgia within the mountains. 2, if you have a structure with a span wire within the signs near to a bridge, the vibration of that bridge actually is losing the connections and they're just sliding. 3, if you have multiple signs on the same structure, the weight of the signs are increasing the sagging into the span wire, and they're all sliding into the middle of that cable. As part of our project, we did reach out to all 7 district sign managers just to see how widespread this issue was. Again, that's how we identify our 3 top conditions when this is happening. We did reach out to 8 DOTs. Why 8? We were focusing on the wind belt states on the Midwest and hurricane prone, since they are the ones that might be having this issue, if any. We just want to know what they were using and if they had any ideas that we can utilize for our project. We did also reach out to GDOT vendors, just to see if there's anything out of the box that, hey, any ideas that we can use for this project. So once we accumulated all this research, all these recommendations, we decided to go with this U-bolt that has a thread in the middle. This will improve or increase the friction with the cable, the span wire cable, eliminating those signs sliding on those conditions. What is good about this? You're saving 90% on the material cost, but 100% on maintenance techs, not having to go to the field and actually relocate the signs. You might be asking yourself how often this happens. We have locations that we have to send crews every 3 months. So this is a good thing for the department. But let's just not focus on the cost. There's also a safety improvement here. If any out-of-town drivers or someone that is not familiar with the locations, these signs are expected to kind of guide them or help them realign on the lane that they need to be traveling. So if their signs are kind of moving, they're making lane changes at the last minute, and that could create an incident. So what are the next steps? We already have identified 10 locations without the state. We're going to be testing this U-bolt within the next 6 months, and we will be checking on these locations every month to ensure the signs are not moving, especially those that move within 3 months. Those are the ones on the top list of here. Once this is successful, right, what do? We need to update our construction details, so any new installations don't encounter this issue, and then we'll work with all 7 district sign managers to develop a deployment plan for the existing locations. That's kind of, in a nutshell, our project. I'm really thankful to all just to let me present on this topic. Open for questions if you have any.
Any questions?
Oh, thank you, Ann. I would just say, something like this seems sort of simple. It's just a U-bolt, but we went back and the team went back to try to figure out the detail we have now. How did we get there? We couldn't figure it out. It's just been that way. So it's sort of challenging the conventional thinking of things that have just always been that way, which haven't worked so good. And it's, again, sort of a simple statement. We're not very proud of those pictures you saw, by the way, with the turn arrow that's over in the right lane, so the left turn arrow in the right lane, we're not very proud of that. So hats off to the team for coming up with a problem with a pretty elegant, simple solution that can be deployed very fast and reduce cost and no more maintenance. So thanks, hats off to the team. I just point that out as that seems sort of like a no-brainer, but if you don't challenge the conventional thinking of why do we do the things we're doing, then nothing ever changes. So thank you, Anna.
Anything else? Thank you, Anna. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Terry Frankel, and I am here today with my teammate Derek Fusco. Our MDP team name was the Road Warriors, but the most important part is that my team and I concentrated on improving road safety with respect to signs in the roadway. Obviously, signs are an everyday part of life on the road. And the key here is that when signs are hit, they become dangerous. They fall, pieces of them may fall into the road, people might not stop, they may not yield where they need to, and sometimes it takes a little while for us to get out there to properly repair the signs. So let me walk you through a typical scenario. If a sign is hit, one of our maintenance crews is called out, they have to go and assess the situation. That crew then goes to assess the situation and has to come back into the office to see if they have the supplies that they need. That assumes that they're in stock and available. There's also possibly additional personnel and any specialty trucks that they may need. If everything is not as it needs to be and we don't have the items in stock, the team will then need to order those, but also implement a temporary solution. We'll discuss that in a minute. But then after all of that, they then have to go out and do a permanent sign fix. This is a very long and involved process for something that you wouldn't necessarily think about step by step. So let me walk you through some of these areas of concern and what they look like. So for our project, we focus solely on signs that are embedded in concrete and asphalt. Not asphalt, man-made structures. So if you look at this first slide, you see this beautiful picture. The bottom left, the photo shows a sign that is directly installed into the concrete island. This is the current practice, but it does leave the sign post permanently embedded into that concrete. This is great. It works well until somebody hits it. Then we have to get it out. It's not that easy. You need a core truck, which is a very specialized, expensive machine. There are very few core trucks, and they are a limited resource in each district. Next, top middle. What you'll see here shows two different styles of breakaways. It's a new style breakaway on the left and an old stub on the right. As you can see, the stub is elevated, it's broken off. It's not a clean break, and it's one of our older styles. The problem is the stub is left protruding up and out next to the new sign structure. Okay, next, this beautiful picture shows several core holes. We just talked about the core truck. These core holes require the expensive specialized core truck. It allows a specialized crew to go drill into the concrete and remove the damaged signpost. They then relocate the sign with a new hole. But the issue here is that if you look, these beautiful images kind of show you a little bit of plant matter. It allows water, ice, debris, and that moisture causes damage and cracking in the concrete and asphalt. Not ideal. Next, you will see at the bottom, you have one of our temporary solutions and another sign that was damaged but did not break off properly. Note, these can be hazards where the temporary solution, as you can see, it's not affixed, it's just sitting on top of where the old sign used to be. If there's a wind gust, it can fly into the road. It's not affixed. The other sign is also partially in the road, the one that fell down, and I'll be honest, that's my favorite picture. But it's slightly in the road, which is a little bit dangerous, and it can come into contact with motorists. Finally, this sign clearly has come away from the concrete. If you look at the particular concrete island, you will see where it has been knocked down by heavy winds. There are several core holes in the island, including the bottom right where you see the abandoned core hole, and you can see that the whole area shows crumbling in the concrete. There's water eroding the core holes, and essentially to get this sign back up, we now need to make more holes. These are just a few of the challenges that face our teams on the ground on a daily basis. And so the question is, how do you make it better? My next slide will show you two options. These are two potential solutions that we are exploring. One on the left for new construction installation, and one on the right for existing infrastructure. On the left, you will see what we call the new construction solution, where concrete is poured, encasing PVC pipes. Those PVC pipes are then filled with natural earth matter. They use that to anchor in and hold signs in place, And by using the area's natural matter and dirt, putting it back into those holes, it helps us reuse the dirt, number one, and allows the stud a nice, strong place for the team to firmly drive the poles back in so we can make quick repairs. There's nothing sticking up beyond the concrete base. As you can see, it's flush. And the same PVC hole can now be used multiple times. Anytime the sign is hit, the routine maintenance team can go. They are empowered and have the materials they need to go in quickly in one visit, pull it out, put it back in, and leave. Let's talk about existing structures. On the right, you will see a machine that we've called, or is called, the Clean Break. It's a newer product. It is an already approved solution that is recently added to the qualified products list, the QPL. They perform in a safe, uniform way, and like the image shows, it comes in a little kit. Depending on the one that you use, these little kits can be kept on the maintenance trucks and then used immediately, again, in one visit. They go out, they replace the pieces that are needed, replace it, and off they go. So how are our proposed solutions doing in the real world? Currently, we have implemented several solutions for testing purposes, and so far, the results are very promising. I should also note that my team was one of the most recent teams, so we've only had a couple months to implement solutions. But for that Clean Break system, the little one on the right that you saw, we are currently installing and have monitored 2 different districts. We have installed 80 installed locations in D1 and 63 installed locations in D3. We are monitoring those currently, and we have many other districts that are interested in these solutions. For the solution on the left, the new construction PVC solution, we have identified several known high-hit areas where we would like to implement this solution. Currently, we are deploying and testing the new PVC pipe location in 13 locations in D3. For reference, the sign that you saw in the picture on the previous slide has so far been hit twice, and on both occasions, the team was able to go out there, quickly and easily replace that sign, put it back up in that single visit. At this time, we're also looking at additional sites. So, in summary, we are looking at the proposed solutions to ensure that they provide faster repair times, offer safer, more efficient repairs, less downtime, quicker replacements for our signs, the ability not to leave protruding studs, which could be potentially dangerous to motorists and all modes of the traveling public. And frankly, we're very excited about the possibilities for the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for Ms. Franklin? If not, again, thank you, and we appreciate your report.
Thank you.
Great job, Tara. Combined them. Terry and Anna, thank you so much. So this program, I went back and looked, and you take the year, all of 2022, all of 2023, all of 2024, and then half of 2025, which we've been through calendar year. And we've had 145 employees go through this training. Do you know how many of these employees have left the department since completing this training? 12. Out of those 12, 6 were 30-year retirees. So that means 6 people, 4%, have left voluntarily the department since completing this program. Adversely, of those 100 and all these engineers, 12 minus 145 is 133. Out of the 133 that are still here and available for promotions, 20%, over 20% of them have received promotions upon completing this course. This course is very valuable to the department in a lot of different ways, and it's something I think we're very proud of. So thank you very much, and I'll be happy to take any questions that you've got now.
Thank you, Kyle. Any questions for Mr. Moat? Thank you for your presentation. We stand adjourned.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, Call the Finance Committee, to order and ask our treasurer, Ms. Whitworth, for her presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am here this afternoon to present the amended FY '26 and '27 budget recommendation for your favorable approval tomorrow. Before I get into the main aspect of it, I want to go through a couple of highlights on this. One, in the governor's recommendation, he asked that the budgets that we submit be flat, no additions in the state general fund components of that. And I'll get into excise and the fees here in a minute on the next slide. But one of the things I want to go over that this budget presentation today, I want to personally thank the budget office for all the hours they put in, getting us to this point for this presentation. I also want to thank all the offices for all their hard work in putting it together. This is a very collaborative effort. So I kind of wanted to go over what our process is. We have what we have lovingly referred to for the last decade called budget days. And so we allot 3 to 4 days out of the year before the budget submission for districts and for divisions and offices to come in and present their budgets to executive management, which consists of Russell, the deputy commissioner, chief engineer, myself, and the budget office. And what they do is they're asked to do a 2-year look back on all of their expenditures. They're asked to talk about what their accomplishments were. And then finally, they give their recommendations for the amended budget in '27 based off what their current needs are. So what you'll see today is a collaborative effort of all of that to get us to this point for this recommendation. On this first slide, you will see there's $63.7 million in excise being brought into the budget. This is based off last year's collections, so we're truing up what the actual excise amount is. In the Transportation Trust Fund fees and the Transit Trust Fund fees, there is no change currently because that is a 2-year look back from '24 collections. And then finally, in state general funds, there's no change in state general funds at the governor's request. Here in this bar chart that you'll see, I've ranked it from largest to the smallest. The majority of this budget consists of the capital projects program, routine maintenance, and LMIG. Those 3 programs alone total over $2.3 billion, will make up 80% of our overall budget. In capital projects, what consists of this program is capital construction, capital maintenance, and local roads administration. In routine maintenance, this is where all the roads, roadsides, and bridges happen, is in this program. General operations makes up administration, data collections, planning, program delivery, and traffic management. LMIG is the Local Maintenance Improvement Grant Program, which we have calculated at 10% of excise. You have our GEO bond debt program, which makes up roughly around 3% of the overall budget. Intermodal, which consists of airport aid, rail, transit, and ports and waterways, make up roughly 3%. And then payments to CERTA and payments to ATL make up roughly 1% or less. In the first slide for the submission, you see a reduction in GEO bond debt service of $1.1 million. What this is truing up the debt service to reflect what the actual debt service payment should be at this time. In capital construction, you'll see an increase in roughly $33.4 million, which adds for additional capacity for projects due to all these increased costs that we see. On this next slide, LMIG, you'll see an additional $6.3 million, which is to bring LMIG to 10% of excise. And so that's what that calculation is. On the next slide, you'll see $332,000 coming into the rail program from the transit program. What this does, it funds the state safety oversight operational costs, which is an FTA mandated transit activity, providing safety oversight for the MARTA rail line. So that's what that is. In routine maintenance, there's an additional $18.3 million in routine maintenance. This will go toward our increased contracting and material costs, as well as addressing some of our aging equipment that we have currently in the department. OEM has been looking towards purchasing equipment that can be used for multiple uses rather than one specialized use. So they've been doing a lot of that as well. In traffic management, there's an additional $6.7 million that's being added. What the bulk of this is for is our ITS maintenance contracts. These costs have been averaged roughly 20% higher than they have in years past. Same thing with the TMC floor management. When all of y'all went to the TMC for your tour, their contract is increased roughly by 30%. And we're actually seeing in the ITS and traffic signal costs doubling in cost in those areas. On this next slide, you'll see there's not any change, but I do want to bring this up. I do want to acknowledge this, that in our newly established freight program that was created 2 years ago, in the amended 24 and in the amended 25 budget, we've seen over $1 billion come into that program over the last 2 years. So I just wanted to mention that, even though. Any questions on the amended 26 by anyone? All right, we'll move into the 27 recommendation. You'll see an additional $140.8 million in excise being added. What this is a current estimate that's given to us by the state economist who has worked with the Office of Planning and Budget for this estimate. This will get trued up in the amended budget next year. In the Transportation Trust Fund, in the Transit Trust Fund, what this is, it's truing up to match what collections were for fiscal year 25. And then finally, in state general funds, there's a reduction of 6.8, and I will get into that reduction here in a few minutes in more detail. All right, here is the bar chart again that I mentioned. In the FY27 budget, the capital programs, routine maintenance, and LMIG make up over 82% of the overall budget. And like I said before, a lot of these programs are the same, with the same, very close to the same percentages as they were in the amended 26 budget. In the GEO bond debt service, you'll see a reduction of $5.3 million. This is truing up what the debt service payment is. Jamie, you'll be glad to know that our debt service is now under $1 billion. It's actually under $900 million. So that's truing up of that debt service. In capital construction, there's $100 million being added, of which this helps with the additional capacity for projects and due to all the increased costs that we're seeing in our business. In departmental admin, there's an add of $2.8 million, and what this does, it covers statewide telecom monthly rate increases and our IT maintenance support. That's what that increase there is for. In LMIG, there's the add of the $14 million, which is the 10% of the excise calculated. In local roads admin, the $5.5 million is just an overall reduction in one-time funding that was in the previous budget year that we had to remove for this year. And then in program delivery, you'll see an additional $2.7 million. You've heard me speak of this before last year. This is a multi-year upgrade for our project tracking database that we've had for over 20 years. Consists of roughly 9 modules, and this is for the upgrade of this. In the rail program, you'll see the reduction of locomotive diesel funds of $1.3 million. What this is doing is truing up and reflecting what the actual FY25 collections were for locomotive diesel. You'll also see the 332 coming into rail. It's also going out. It nets in the transit program of what I previously discussed about the state safety oversight for the MARTA rail line. In routine maintenance and traffic management, these numbers, similar to FY26, what we're doing is bringing these items forward to true it up to have it in the base. And then in the transit program, The additional $3.9 million, the majority of that funding is transferred to the ATL, with the remaining of those funds being split amongst the small urban and rural transit providers based off the transit formula. And then the additional $1.2 million that's in the budget that's utilized to help operate the FTA program and utilized for matching funds. Finally, in the Payments to Starter program, the $700 reduction is to true up the Garvey debt service. It's just a small reduction, and that's what that does there in that program. I want to close by saying that we feel really good about this request. I do. I feel that it deploys the funds across the department where they're needed most, such as in the capital programs and in routine maintenance and the IT infrastructure, so the department can be more efficient. And so, Chairman, I ask for this committee's favorable consideration to pass to the full board for tomorrow.
You heard Ms. Whitworth's presentation. We do need a motion to recommend to the full board approval. It's a motion. Is there a second? Motion second. Any discussion about it? Any questions of Ms. Whitworth? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other business to be brought before the Finance Committee? If not, I adjourn the committee, Madam Chair.
And with that, the committee of the whole would please come to order. At this time, I would like to ask Jeremy Daniel, our Assistant State Construction Engineer, to come forward as he updates us on I-285 rehab project. Welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is Jeremy Daniel. I am the Assistant State Construction Engineer, and I am here this afternoon to discuss the I-285 West Wall reconstruction. I-285 was originally constructed in the 1960s, with the official opening occurring on October 15, 1969. The southern portion of the corridor of the West Wall was completed in 1967, with the northern portion not completed until 1969. It consisted of 2 lanes in each direction and was constructed of 10 inches of concrete pavement on 6 inches of cement stabilized graded aggregate base on top of 6 inches of aggregate stabilized base. I-285 was then widened in the 1980s. It added 1 to 2 lanes in each direction, and it consisted of 10 inches of concrete pavement on top of 5 inches of asphalt on top of 10 inches of graded aggregate base. So when I-285 was originally constructed, it was anticipated to have a 40-year service life before it would need to be reconstructed. Also with the anticipation of after 25 years, severe slab rehab and grinding would need to occur. Now, we have been able to extend that service life, especially of the originally constructed portion, through extensive maintenance activities. The shoulders were reconstructed in 2005 of roller compacted concrete, and District 7 has performed a lot of routine maintenance activities throughout the years. From 2014 to present, they have spent $60 million in routine maintenance activities throughout this corridor, and these have consisted of maintenance projects, ITBs, and in-house forces. So that got us to where we are today, which is time to reconstruct it. The corridor goes from Paces Ferry Road on the north end down to Roosevelt Highway on the south end. It is split up into 3 projects. There is an exception in the middle, which is where our I-285, I-20 public-private partnership design-build finance project is occurring. So the portion from D.L. Hollowell Parkway down to MLK Junior Drive of 285 will be reconstructed as part of the interchange project. So the northern project goes from Paces Ferry Road down to D.L. Hollowell Parkway, with the middle project going from Martin Luther King Jr. Drive down to the Mount Gilead Road Bridge, and the southern project going from Mount Gilead Road Bridge down to Roosevelt Highway. So it was originally thought to combine all 3 of these projects into one large contract in the August letting, but due to the massive undertaking and some industry feedback, the decision was made to split it up into one section north of I-20 and one section south of I-20. So the section from Paces Ferry Road down to DL Hollowell Parkway is currently in the September letting. And the section from Martin Luther King Jr. Drive down to Roosevelt Highway, we will combine those two projects into one, and they will be let at a later date. So I-285 currently consists of 4 travel lanes in each direction with inside and outside paved shoulders and concrete median barrier wall. The reconstruction will consist of 17 miles of roadway, which includes 10 interchanges. That does not include the 285-20 interchange. There are also 14 mainline bridges and 17 overpass bridges throughout the corridor. So the reconstruction, it will consist of an asphalt overlay of the existing concrete slabs. Any concrete slabs that are not intact and stable will be repaired prior to the asphalt overlay occurring. I had mentioned the 14 mainline bridges and the 17 overpass bridges, and due to the extensive work, time, and costly effort and extensive utility relocation work, it was determined not to jack those bridges. So in those sections, in order to maintain existing grade at mainline bridges and existing clearance at overpass bridges, those sections of I-285 will have to be completely removed and reconstructed. Many alternatives were considered, with probably the most important one, the impacts to traffic. There are 194,000 vehicles per day out there, with 18% of that being commercial vehicle trucks. We looked at concrete alternatives, asphalt alternatives, different overlay options, precast options, but ultimately the asphalt overlay option was the one determined to be the most feasible alternative due to the major impacts to traffic in the corridor. So as part of the reconstruction, we are taking this opportunity to upgrade to current AASHTO standards. We will be adjusting the cross slope, replacing the median barrier, upgrading the drainage, guardrail, and overhead signage throughout the corridor. So I mentioned the impacts to traffic. We will be seeing single and double lane closures nightly and throughout the weekends. We will also be closing I-285 between interchanges over the weekends. During these closures, traffic will be detoured onto the downtown connector, and we are coordinating with DPS on the trucks being able to pass through the downtown connector. We're also coordinating with the Atlanta Braves home games and the FIFA World Cup that will be coming up next summer here in Atlanta. So no closures during those time frames. So I mentioned the closures. So these are the sections that we will allow to be closed over the weekends. This is the southern portion of the projects. So the section from Roosevelt Highway up to Camp Creek is one section, from Camp Creek up to Langford, from Langford up to Cascade, and then from Cascade up to MLK. Those are the 4 sections on the southern end that we will allow to be closed over the weekends. And as you can see, traffic will be using I-20, downtown connector, and then down 75 and 85. It will take multiple weekends in each section in order to complete the work. So this is the north end. The sections we will allow to be closed are from Paces Ferry Road down to South Atlanta Road, South Atlanta Road to South Cobb Drive, and South Cobb Drive down to DL Hollowell Parkway. Once again, traffic will use 75, downtown connector, and back out I-20. And same as on the south end, it will take multiple weekends in each section in order to complete the work. So in order to accomplish this, it will take a comprehensive communication plan. It will be important that we provide timely, accurate, and accessible information to all stakeholders. Some of the examples of the stakeholders include the traveling public, local businesses, emergency services, the trucking industry, and governmental agencies. We will be using a multi-channel communication strategy, which includes 511, Georgia Navigator, social media, TV and radio, digital advertising PSAs, a series of storytelling videos, a dedicated project website, press releases, and all the message boards around the metro area. I should note, as part of the storytelling video series, there will be a narrative outlining the roughly 60-year history of I-285 and underscoring the importance of the project now. It will also be important for us to leverage our media partnerships, including GDOT's close relationship with our traffic reporters, to make sure we provide that timely, accurate, and accessible information about the closures, the detours, and the construction milestones. We will also be using our neighboring states in the communication effort. You know, we want the traveling public and the commercial vehicle drivers to know of the impacts before they ever even enter Georgia. And as always, we will be including work zone safety messaging, not only for those working within the work zone, but for those traveling through it as well. And the project team will be working closely with our Office of Communications in order to implement the comprehensive communication plan. So, upon completion, I-285 will have a new asphalt typical section. Still will consist of 4 travel lanes in each direction with inside and outside paved shoulders with a newly reconstructed barrier wall, upgraded drainage, overhead signage, and guardrail. And we are anticipating completion in the spring of 2029. And I will answer any questions you have now.
Do I have any questions? Yes, Mr. Lewis?
I'm sure you stated, but when does all this begin?
So currently, the northern section is in the September letting. We would anticipate an NTP to the contractor in November.
Okay.
Any other? Yes, Mr. Stein?
So I could ask as well, you stated the anticipated service life of the original I-285. Now with the asphalt overlay, what is the expectation for the increase to the service life of this segment of 285?
So we anticipate an overall service life similar. There will be routine maintenance activities of resurfacing that has to occur in between there.
So 40 years, basically, then?
That is the intent.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you so much. Very valuable to us. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
We will go forward, and I would like to ask our General Counsel and Director of our Legal Services to come forward, Annette Similaro, and she is going to give us some information about the project damage recovery cost process that we have here at GDOT. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon to the board and the commissioner. In light of some questions we've been getting fairly recently from board members, we wanted to discuss with you all today who pays when GDOT infrastructure is damaged. So today I'm going to go over the types of property damage that GDOT experiences, the legal framework that allows us to recover, and then the processes we have in place at GDOT for recovery. Helen O'Leary will also, and one of the attorneys from the Office of Legal Services will follow with some specific examples where we've been able to obtain full recovery for our damaged assets. So when we first think of GDOT property, we think of state routes and highways, but there are several other assets that we own that we like to call state road assets or SRAs. Some of the ones I would highlight are bridges, guardrails, road signs, traffic control devices, overhead signs, dynamic signs, and other traffic ops devices. So as you can see, we own a significant number of these. For instance, we have almost 6,000 traffic signals, 16.8 million feet of guardrail, and about 2.7 million feet of cable barrier. So in addition to doing maintenance on these assets to keep them in working order, we often are faced with unexpected maintenance as a result of motorist-caused damage or even destruction. So based on some crash data from 2024, there are 367,523 reported crashes in Georgia. And while not every vehicle crash causes damage, a large number of them do damage our assets, requiring repair or sometimes replacement. So the Georgia Code allows us to collect replacement costs to these damaged assets. I'll note specifically 3261 subsection B provides that any person who injures a public road is responsible for reimbursing the department for the costs of repairs to the public road. So one of the first innovative steps we took a little over a decade ago was to hire an outside consultant to assist us with the recovery process. So we've been working with the Claims Management Resources, or CMR, since 2013. This collaboration has allowed us to modernize and streamline what can sometimes be a complicated recovery process. So the recovery process starts with first identifying the damages and the responsible parties, and we do that by monitoring and reviewing police accident reports. The next step is determining the value of loss to the department, and this often involves assistance from the districts and other offices within the department. Lastly, we recover those funds from the insurer for the driver who caused the accident. And the GDOT Safety Office manages this program. One of the benefits to our partnership with CMR has been the ability to track the damages by item type. And this chart shows that from 2021 calendar year. And as you can see on here, by far, the damages that we most experience are to guardrails. That's followed next by signs and then cable barriers. So over the years, we worked with CMR to better streamline the recovery process. More recently, we've standardized supported documentation showing damage estimates. We've worked on better identifying what damaged assets that are in police reports, and we've also started providing insurers with before and after repair damage photos. So throughout the years, we've been able to recover substantial sums for the department. Starting in 2013, we had a large influx of recovery costs that we were able to retain while we worked on the backlog, and we eventually caught up to that. There's a 4-year statute of limitations. Around 2021 to 2022, you'll see an uptick again, and this reflects the process improvements I mentioned earlier. So far this year, we've collected $2.9 million, and all of these funds go back into routine maintenance. Now I'm going to turn it over to Helen O'Leary, and she's going to talk about some of our recent recovery efforts and those that needed to be escalated to the GDOT legal office or involve litigation. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioner and members of the board. My name is Helen O'Leary, as Annette has mentioned, and I am the attorney in the legal section here at GDOT that works with CMR to recover on claims. 99% of the claims we have for damaged assets are handled by CMR very successfully. However, there are a small percentage that are not going through that traditional route, and they tend to fall in two different categories. The first is major damaged asset claims. Think of a 7-figure bridge hit, for example. Those entail usually very high payouts, and CMR is not in the best position to deal with the lawyers, the engineers, the claims management companies, and the insurance company. So usually when those happen, I'll just take those over myself and bring them within the legal section. The other damaged asset claims that we take in the legal section are those where CMR becomes roadblocked. CMR will have perhaps a higher dollar claim, but hit an impasse, if you will, with the insurance company, and that happens because the insurance company values our damage at one number and we value it at another. So when we're at that impasse, something has to be done. So legal will take it inside, do an analysis, and in most instances be able to resolve the claim. But not always. There are times where litigation is necessary to settle some of these two types of claims. So what we do is we reach out to the Attorney General's office and ask that a Special Assistant Attorney General be assigned, and he or she will pursue the case in court and get a resolution. Both CMR, in-house legal, and the SAG, Special Assistant Attorney General, all have the same objective of collecting the full amount of our claim. This is a recent example of successful damage recovery by CMR. In September of 2024, on I-75 North in Turner County, a tractor trailer crossed 3 lanes of traffic and hit a concrete barrier. It was $54,000 worth of damage. Through the processes Annette mentioned before, CMR was able to invoice for that claim and then collect the full amount. Here's a second example where SAG, Special Assistant Attorney General, was able to intervene on a case that CMR had and get us a successful conclusion. This is an accident that happened in February of 2022. A gas tanker with, I think, 8,000 gallons of gas was driving along, didn't realize that the traffic had slowed, hit a car, slid over into the concrete barrier, and ignited. There was all sorts of damage, and our concrete barrier and road were damaged significantly to the tune of about $300,000. CMR had the case for a good while, but was unable to get a resolution, mostly because there were multiple levels of insurance and a lot of different parties, and the case just didn't go and progress like it should. So we did get it assigned to a Special Assistant Attorney General. Within about 7-month period, he was able to get a resolution in the full amount of our claim. Since 2013, between CMR, SAGS, and the legal division, we have resolved over 33,000 claims on behalf of the department and recovered over $72 million through the damage collection program. So it's been quite successful. With that, that's the end of my presentation. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Do we have any questions or comments? Yes, Mr. Stein.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd just like to ask and say thank you for all the work on that. That's a significant amount of money coming back to the department to keep the roads in the right condition. Can you give us an estimate, knowing all the work you do there, what percentage of the overall assessed damage the entire process collects? Do we collect 95%, 100%, or where are we at in terms of how much damage is done that we have to now find funds from the department?
I don't have the answer particularly to that question. I can tell you that in recent years, uninsured motorist numbers have increased. I think it's up to 18% now. So if you have a drunk driver with no insurance who takes out a whole length of guardrail, that's not a claim we're going to recover on. But we're really very careful. We go through and make the claims and look into it. So somebody would, at CMR, look to make sure the facts are there that this would be uncollectible and let that go by. But for the most part, we don't have that situation, but we are able to get the full amount of the recovery where possible. You also have situations where, in the case of the drunk driver, you may have an individual who's ordered by court to pay that money back to us by restitution, and CMR works with individuals to do that. So I'm sorry I don't have a better answer for you. There's just no way to calculate that.
Commissioner?
Yeah, I just thank you, Helen, and thank you, Annette. I mean, it's good work, and again, we're just trying to cover costs and not add more burden to taxpayers to repair things that are damaged. But I just wanted to get Helen, maybe, and Annette give a little anecdote, because it seems that, and I'm knocking on wood, that, you know, for some reason, overheight trucks and things like that like to hit bridges. As Annette mentioned, I think, and maybe Helen mentioned, that a lot of the bridge repairs are 7 figures, usually, and insurability and liability generally does not go that high. So those are the ones that are hard to, even if you recover, we're still usually having to bear the cost of major infrastructure repair when maybe a bridge on I-16 gets hit or something like that. So that's true? Just make sure I'm accurate in that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Any other comment? I'd like to say thank you for bringing this information to us today. I think it's very important that we also know about the process of which you have to go through. And we want to thank you all for your work and for your dedication, but particularly for your influence and educating us on the board as to what goes on. So thank you so much. I would like to remind everyone that we will come back tomorrow, 9 a.m., for our State Transportation Board meeting. So I look forward to seeing you in the morning. And with that, our State Committee of the Whole is adjourned.
Okay.